Hey everyone, I'm back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I hope that you've had a really good week. For those of you who are joining new for the very first time, it's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. For those of you who tune in every single Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, welcome back. And be sure to subscribe. Thanks so much for listening in, and hope you guys are doing well. Let me know in the chat here where you are tuning in here from today. And hopefully I can see the comments if they start to come in. Sometimes they come in kind of slow. But nonetheless, so I am still in Bali, you all. This is my last week in Bali with my family on vacation. It's absolutely an amazingly beautiful place. We've been just really grateful, extremely grateful to be here and just have some time to bond, have some downtime, have some reset, recharge time, right? In the busy, hectic world that we live in. But I will be back in the US later on this week. So some of you may have seen, it's been kind of going viral on the internet, this concept of bed rotting. If you haven't heard of it, is basically, we talk a lot on Mental Health Moment, of course, about self-care, but it's more of a different form of self-care, and it's gone viral on TikTok and all these sort of places, basically lounging around, maybe going to sleep or scrolling on social media or just taking an excessive amount of downtime for self-care. So what I wanted to share with you today is just a reminder, because there's a lot of information on social media about mental health. Some of the things are great, some of the things are helpful, some of the things are reputable, other things are frankly really scary and not helpful at all to your mental health. So what I'll say about that, when it comes to self-care, when it comes to you taking your downtime, whether it be sleeping, whether it be, yes, some days you need to just veg out, you might want to watch a movie, you might spend hours scrolling on your phone or being on the internet in some way. There's nothing wrong with taking those times. There's nothing wrong with downtime. There's nothing wrong with resetting, recharging. However, the asterisk on that, though, is don't do this for extended, long periods of time. Meaning, if it is something you're doing where you have to take a really long nap, you're sleeping long amounts of time, you're in bed for days and days at a time, over a long period of time, what that can actually do to you is it can slow your productivity down, right? So yes, take the time, reset, recharge, but also you don't want it to get to a point where it's increasing depression or increasing your anxiety or just not helpful to your body, right? There comes a time when we have to kind of play with this balance of rest versus, being on the go, if you will. And it's a delicate balance, but I did want to address that because I've been seeing this like all over the internet, this idea of bed rotting. And again, first of all, I don't love the term to be bed rotting, because rotting usually is not a positive term necessarily. But yes, if you need the naps, if you need spending some time in bed, if you have a hard day, right? Or if you have a hard week, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just when it gets into longer periods of time, you really have to ask yourself, are you just taking some downtime, or are you depressed? Because a lot of times with depression, it can look like spending a lot of time in bed or not, but it could look like that, or it could look like anxiety, or it could look like a lot of other mental health issues that the solution is not necessarily to spend weeks and weeks and weeks in bed. Like, that is not the solution to a lot of mental health issues. The solution is what we talk about, though, all the time on Mental Health Moment, for those of you who are new, of positive self-care strategies, of getting to know yourself, of having the self-awareness, of getting the help that you need. Sometimes it's a mental health professional, sometimes it's friends, it's family, maybe it's a person at your place of worship. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but the most important message I want you to get today from today's Mental Health Moment is do what works for you, but also be healthy in your self-care. Do things that are healthy for you. So again, we're talking today about this concept of bed rotting, which has been all over the internet. And I do want you to understand there are pros and cons of staying in bed for your self-care. Again, nothing wrong with a day or two, or maybe you just had a really hard week. It's when it gets into longer periods of time that is concerning. You have to really think about also, especially when it comes to sleep, there's a lot of mental health conditions that are linked to lack of sleep or sleeping too much and that sort of thing. So you don't have to have this all figured out, though. If you are concerned and you say to yourself, man, I have been spending more time than I think I should be, right? We all have our own barometer. More time than I think I should be in bed, more time that I should be not engaging in things that bring me joy. I'm having a hard time eating too. The sleep is off. Like all these things are starting to happen to you, and you really don't feel like yourself. That is a critical time for you to think about. Let me reach out to a mental health professional, right? Let me reach out to someone else that can help me sort of navigate, maybe tweak some things, and get you right on the best path for you and get you back on track. The other thing I wanted to share with each and every one of you is to make sure that you're really thinking about your self-care, really thinking about mental health moment is all about how do you show up for yourself so you can be the best version of who you are, and also for you to show up for those around you in the best way that you can, right? There's so much room for growth. There's a lot that you have to incorporate, right? There's a self-care, there's taking care of yourself. Some of you are taking care of others. Like there's all these things. And yes, it always seems like a balancing act. But when you have a growth mindset, what you do is you train your brain, and every day in some little way, it doesn't have to be a major leap, but in some little way, you work on becoming a better version of who you are, right? So I am, like really in a very different place when it comes to self-care in a good way than where I was many, many years ago, hitting burnout, not doing well with self-care, just not taking care of myself at all. But and thankfully, by the grace of God, I'm in a much better place now. However, I don't say to myself, well, I'm in a better place for my self-care, I'm good. No, like we're not, you keep going, right? You keep going, you keep growing. You know, you guys know that's my philosophy, but you keep going and you keep growing. So that's what I want you to think about. When you see things online, you all, which you will, related to mental health, like this past week, with the bed rotting or with this and that, you really have to ask yourself, is this something healthy that I need to incorporate in my life, right? If it is something, and how you know that is if it's something that brings you joy, first of all. Some of you may say, oh my God, to do bed rotting, which is for me, that would bring me no joy. So to lay in bed for hours and hours and hours at a time, that would bring me zero joy, first of all. But you have to ask yourself, is this something that brings you joy? Is it something that's helpful to you? Whatever this thing is that you're seeing, there's some new thing I feel like every week on TikTok, right? When it comes to mental health, is it something that brings you joy? And is it something for you that is going to help you grow into being a better person? You have to ask yourself those two questions, right? Because that's what it's all about for you. What I do for me in my life, and my self-care journey, spiritual journey, emotional, physical, mental journey can be completely different for you. And that is okay. We are all different. We're all at different places in this journey. But I hope one of the things you always get from Mental Health Moment is to just keep examining for yourself, keep asking yourself questions. You are going to change as a person. Yay. Hopefully for the better, right? And even if something happens where you're like, oh, I don't know why I did that. I don't know why this happened. Whatever it is happened, it's okay. You can get back on track. It's okay. Right? No blame. We don't do blame here. This is the no judgment zone on Mental Health Moment, right? But you work on being a better version of you. Growth mindset. That's what this is all about. You're showing up for yourself in the best way that you can. And with that change in you, when you show up as the best version of yourself for you, then also it's going to affect those around you positively, right? Of course, people around you want the best version of who you are, right? That's going to be helpful to them as well. So it's for you and for those around you. So if you all need me at any time, you can always go to dr.nekeshiahammond.com. You can reach out on Instagram, dr.hammond, or LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Threads now. So Threads a new thing, right? For those of you on Instagram, there's also Threads. So I'm on Threads now. It's a new social media app or some platform now that's connected to Instagram. For those of you on Threads, I'm on there too. But I'm going to keep it brief today, only because I am about to go on a tour with my family here as we wrap up the last couple of days of our time here on our family vacation this year. So I'm about to head out and do that. Everything, for those of you who are on Instagram, I'm putting everything in my stories. It's just such a beautiful place. And I'm, like I said, very grateful to be here on the trip with my family. So I'm putting all the sites and all the fun things that we're doing on my Instagram stories for those of you who are on Instagram. So you can follow along. But again, have an amazing week, you all. Make sure to take care of yourselves. Please make sure to do what works for you, what brings you joy, and what makes you better as a person. That's what this is all about. So take care of yourselves. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, YouTube. Have a great week. See you next time. Bye, guys.